this card can search probably Waldo if we needed to. It could find Carmen Sandiego. Hello, and today we're going to go over an actually busted card, and that is Seventh Tachyon, and how we can use it to actually tack on consistency to our decks. This card can search basically almost, I want to say more than half the cards in the game. You just got to reveal a number XZs monster in your deck between 100 and 107 in its name. We're going to go over all the options, and then you could just add a monster from your deck to your hand with that same type or attribute, and it's absolutely insane. We're going to go over all the crazy stuff it can summon. And what's really interesting is it only has one very small benefit, detrimental effect, is that for the rest of the turn, it locks you into XZs monsters. Not even at the, like, it's just for the rest of the turn after you use it. A very small detriment for a very good effect. It's like going to Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? It's closed on Sundays, but it's a really great restaurant, but, you know, it has that little side effect. It's closed on Sundays. But anyways, and what's crazy is Seventh Tachyon even has a searcher for this searcher, and that's called Seventh Ascension. It's got a lot of text here, but just you can ignore that. All you need to know is that Seventh Ascension can search Seventh Tachyon, right? Because it can search a 7th spell. Also, the other thing it could do, when it searches a card, it can put the card, you have to put one card on the top of your deck as well. So that also can be a small detriment, but we can also use that to our advantage. We're going to see why. We're going to talk about that. And by the way, I would run probably one Seventh Ascension and two Seventh Tachyons. If you're just looking to add 3, I wouldn't throw in 3 and 3 because remember, we can only activate one of them per turn, and so it might hamper consistency. We'll go over the math in that in a second too. But let's jump into the cards, the number cards that we can actually search. So you can see here, there's all these options here we can search, and look at all these attributes and types. It could be either or, and what do I mean by that? Well, let's break it down a little bit more and give you something that's easier on the eyes here. What do I mean by that? So let's say these are all the attributes and the types from before and the ranks we can search. So what that means is by revealing the card on the previous list that was a fire, right? We could search any rank 4, level 4 fire. We could search any level 5 aqua. Look at all of these search targets. This card can search probably Waldo if we needed to. It could find Carmen Sandiego. This card was probably what the Navy SEALs used when they were looking for Osama. This card can find pretty much anything. Look at all the options and cards we could find. And speaking of Waldo, by the way, he is in this picture down here. If you want to know where he is, I'll tell you at the end of the video if you're into that kind of stuff. That'll be a fun little treat for those who stick through. But yeah, here's the full picture. If you want to look for him, now's the good time to go ahead and take a little shot at it, and I'll tell you where he is at the end of the video. But anyways, let's go back to Seventh Tachyon. We could use him to help out a lot of archetypes. What do I mean by that? Let's take this rogue archetype generators, for example. You can see here, Loptar, right? This was the only searcher for the deck that people that would know that we would stuff in things like a Lone Fire Blossom to help out the archetype. And now with something like Seventh Tachyon that is great, it adds more searchers and consistency for a lot of rogue archetypes. And also Mardell is also a level 9 light, which was one of the targets too. So you can see here how you can use that to search and help out archetypes. Now I'm going to use Math Circular as an example here. Remember, we do get locked into XZs after doing this, so maybe Mathmech's not the best example to use, but all of these cards are an example of an archetype that could be found. And what's really interesting is that all of these were part of the Seventh Tachyon search targets. So that's really interesting there, but I really want to just go more towards the math to show you what I mean about consistency, right? And how all of the cards are definitely interconnected in some way, and that's why I really wanted to just use Mathmech Circular, because that's a good example of a card that has a natural search target, but now also we can add Seventh Tachyon and Seventh Ascension to search. If we use all 3 of these cards at 3 copies each, right? We're running 3 Signet Minings, Tachyon, and Ascension. That gives us an 85% chance to find Mathmech Circular plus Mathmech Circular itself, so that's 12 cards right there to have at least in our combo to get a Mathmech Circular. And if we're going second, where we now have 6 cards to choose from in our pile, gives us a 90% chance to find Mathmech Circular. We can also really up the consistency by doing something like Small World, and having that's going to add, if we have 3 of those copies, that makes us go up from an 85% consistency to 91 to find the Circular, and even 95 if we're going second. And that's actually a bad thing. I'll talk about that later as to why that's that's so deadly, and why we wouldn't want to do that to make our deck so consistent. But that was just an example. Let's go over some fun archetypes we could find, starting with fire, right? And I'm going to highlight now, because Mathmech wasn't a good archetype to use. Let's actually highlight some good archetypes that either use XZs or just doesn't even need to use the extra deck at all. And something like Rescue Ace, for example, and the Gunkins are the good representatives of the fire archetype that you could search. If you're interested in those archetypes, go check it out. Moving on to water, we've got the Ocean Lord archetype here. This is a very good stun deck. I wouldn't recommend stun. I don't like playing that. And by the way, this image that I put here is triggering my Taslophobia. I shouldn't have maybe have put this cool, unique background graphic. But Ocean Lord and all of its accomplices are able to be searched through 7th Tachyon, because we got 4 aquas, level 4 aquas, and level 5 aquas, which are all shown. By the way, the Warrior of Atlantis can search the Legendary Ocean, which is why that's on the screen. So even if you don't have the boss, the mini guys can also search the boss using the electric jellyfish. Very, very cool, very, very unique team. Anyways, let's stop triggering my Taslophobia. I played, what is this, Subnautica? That game scares the daylights out of me, and that's how I realized I was scared of the ocean. Taslophobia, by the way, means fear of the water. So something I'm not afraid of is Sakitama and Manju of the Thousand Hands. This Knight's Church means that we can look for some ritual decks here, some good ritual cards. They don't use the extra deck at all too, so we could search these cards. These cards have really good effects. Sakitama can, of course, if it's tributed, come back to the hand. Manju can search either a spell or a ritual spell or a ritual monster as you want. Considering also the Dogmatica cards, not really rituals archetypes, but do go into their own like church setting and are also really good in itself. But jumping back into the ritual cards, or more church-like cards, I should say, is we do have the exosisters. These are all really good, powerful archetypes that we can use with 7th Tachyon to search. Exosister Martha, of course, is the ringleader here, but if you have her already in your hand, you can search, of course, any of her sisters as well. Exosisters is a great XZ's archetype that can utilize 7th Tachyon. Very, very strong. What else do we got here? Oh, this is a fun engine here. You could play this Mother Spider Splitter as just a side archetype engine thing going on, because when this card is basically you control no monsters, special summon this card from your hand and pop out 3 little baby spiders, and then these baby spiders, one of them will sacrifice itself to make all of the level spiders basically level 10, and now you have 2 level 10 monsters on the field, and you're locked into a Dark Xyz monster. But what can we make with a level 10 Dark Xyz? Well, there is a Varudras, the final bringer of the end of times. So with that Mother Spider archetype, or just that little engine right there that you put in, you now have a free Varudras. So if you don't need your normal summon and you have a lot of room and you want to have some fun, yeah, put that in as a little side treat, because that's an Omni Negate there. Very strong Omni Negate. Speaking of side treats, and things that I don't like, I have to talk about stun. I don't think stun's a good archetype for this, but I'm going to show it anyways, because there's probably a lot of barrier statues you could throw and take a look at with this and use it for 7th Tachyon, but I wouldn't do that because, again, remember, you do have to put a card on the top of your deck, so now that leaves you with 4 cards left, and one of these is your normal summon, so that means now you only have 3 back row at best, right? At worst, maybe you clogged yourself with some other cards. We want in stun every card to count, so I wouldn't use it in stun. But compare that to the Ocean Lord strategy, which again was searching other things. It's more of a control kind of stun. So there are some exceptions, because I do think it does go good in the Umi version, but not necessarily the pure stun versions that we'll see. Now, here's something. The Gravekeeper's cards and the Medoras, these are also possible. These like Earth Odeon cards can be searched for also, that don't really go into XZ's material and can also facilitate more stun kind of locks. But I don't want to talk about stun locks or also like the really unique toxic cards. Let's talk about some fun cards and some fun things we could do. Remember, it puts it on top of the deck. So when we use cards like Revival Golem that wants to come from the deck to the graveyard, and Revival Golem's in our hand, we can use 7th Tachyon, add whatever card we wanted to from the previous things, right? And then put Revival Golem on the top of the deck. So now when we mill it with let's say we're playing tier or something or whatever, or whatever deck we wanted to mill this with, right? Some level 4 engine decks, and maybe we're playing like tier, level 4, and now we're going to go into Revival Golem something. It can special summon itself, put it on top of the deck, right? Fairy Tale Snow also loves to go to the graveyard, and if you want to mill, put it on top of the deck. So that's just something to keep aware of, that we could do that. Now here's just some random cards that I'm just going to throw at the wall, see what sticks. I do want to talk about them because maybe I like to future-proof content. Joker's Knight, of course, is a great Xyz engine because it can get a lot of cards on the board. So just want to talk about him. He's there. Guilty the D Knight can search level 7 Dark Dragon, level 6 Dark Machine, or level 5 Water Warrior. So that's just interesting. So you can use 7th Tachyon to search him, and he can search some stuff. Cursed Nerd Witch has absolutely no archetype it can go in now, but again, I like to future-proof content here. Right now, she can only really go into Ascension maybe, because what she does is if there's a field spell on the field and it names a certain field, she like helps something with that. I don't know, her effects on the screen. Really good card. She's also a baddie, by the way. Look at that. And Spirit Sculpture has an interesting effect where you contribute a monster, add a monster from your deck to your hand whose combined attack defense equals the original attack defense of the attributed monster. There's a plethora of things that can be summoned, and the more cards that are released, the more deadly this card gets, and that it adds more cards to the pool. So I just wanted to just show you some unique cards that you know that we should just keep on the radar as the future goes. But of course, I wouldn't be this wouldn't be a deck where we're talking about future proofing. How about these archetypes that are coming to Master Duel and or have just been well, Rizal is out in the TCG already, but I do want to just talk about that. That's a great Xyz archetype, and you could search use 7th Tachyon to search it because it's a light level 4. We got an Earth level 5 here. This is an Xyz card. These are called the K9s. These K9 cards that Azuna. These K9 cards are all about Xyz, so that's just something to look forward in the future. If you want to read their effects, they're on the screen here. They're very strong cards. They're going to be coming to Master Duel. Everybody in the TCG already knows what the Rizal does. They're in every deck in the game right now. If you go to a tournament, even your mom's bringing Rizals to the deck. So Rizal, I don't know, whatever you call it, tomato, but I like to call it fun because no matter what, you're having a good time when everybody's running the same deck. No, but Tier 0 formats aside, maybe Tier 1 formats, I'd be ashamed if I don't mention the Tachyon Cloud Dragon itself, which is basically the card the archetype was printed for. You can use it to search, of course, either Primal or the Cloud Dragons, or even the Galaxy archetype here, Photon Jumper, or the Galaxy cards. Pretty much every card imaginable in that deck list is able to be searched with the 7th Tachyon, and all the Tachyons. They got their own spell and traps too, so you can even use the Tachyon cards to search other cards in that archetype, so now it has even more utility effect. So Tachyon Cloud Dragon, a great, absolutely monstrous card for you to use in that format. But now let's go into a little bit of fun math here, and why we also have to be careful when using 7th Tachyon. So I'm going to use Zodiac Thoroughblade as an example. Zodiacs, of course, any Zodiac card can go into Zodiacs, and let's say we're running all of these cards too to help us search another Zodiac, right? Well, maybe we don't want to do that, right? Because look, let's say we're running 4 Zodiac cards. That's 4, 5, 6, 7 already. Times 3, we have 21 searchers, and you know what? We can even, Zodiacs themselves have searchers too. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's say we're running 5 Zodiacs, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's actually, let me put it here for you here. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times 3, we can get up to 30 cards for consistency, and we don't need that much level of consistency, so there's a lot of things we can cut. And why can we cut consistency? Well, here's my specialty, and what do I love to show you is math and numbers. Look at this. This is the graph of your starter cards going first, the odds to find a card that you really want. What do I mean by that when I'm looking at this deck, right? So let's just say we're running three main deck Zodiac monsters, so that gives us 9 total. Plus, we're running 1 copy of 7th Tachyon, that gives you 10, and we're running another searchers, right? Zodiac Barrage. That gives us an 81% chance to find a single Zodiac. Now, in the example before, where we're putting everything at 3, we had a greater than a 99% chance to find a Zodiac card, which is just way too much. And you can see here, the more these lines go up, and it starts getting smaller, that's what's called diminishing returns. So the more searchers that you add in your deck, and once it hits a certain threshold, you start seeing a lot of diminishing returns for your threshold. And what do I mean by that? Well, that means basically, if let's say we had 25 cards here and I move it to 15, by sacrificing just 8% consistency, I now opened up 10 deck slots in my card, in my deck. And those 10 slots can go to board breakers, they can go to hand traps, they can go to other utility, other engines, right? And I was just focused on getting the Zodiac cards. We don't need to do such a thing. So remember, let's just go to some raw numbers to show you what I'm talking about here. We don't need 7th Ascension or 7th Tachyon if we're going to go over a 90% threshold. So this is the same thing that the chart showed. This is a 60 card deck, by the way, the numbers for a 60 card deck. This is the numbers for a 40 card deck. Again, once you get over this 90 card percent mark here of consistency, you don't really need to go any further. I think that's way too much. So again, take a look at this and see if you need to use 7th Ascension or 7th Tachyon, which is why in the beginning of the video I've recommended bringing just one of these 7th Ascensions and 2 of the 7th Tachyons, because it will likely push you over the consistency your deck already has, unless of course you are using that deck like the Generator archetype that didn't have any searchers, that was really rare to find the searchers, right? Generators probably only had like 6 searchers altogether because there's like 1 additional in archetype card that they have to search. So now you can use 7th Tachyon to give yourself, to boost it up to that 85% consistency. That's where 7th Tachyon comes into very much handy. Now, speaking of consistency, I consistently post videos all the time, so if you want to see them, subscribe to the YouTube, join our Discord. We have a ton of smart people that will analyze your deck list. If you just even like the video and you already subscribed, just like the video, helps out the algorithm a lot. But yeah, come join our Discord, post your deck list. We have people that are smarter than me, I went to law school, in that Discord that will analyze your decks and be like, hey, look, here's how you can go check it out and improve it. So the guys are very smart. Anyways, I have some replays to show you on how 7th Tachyon we can use that, and after that I'm going to show you where Waldo is too. So take a look at these replays and why 7th Tachyon is so disgusting. Hello, and we got some ranked gameplay here. Look at this, using 7th Tachyon in my Novellis deck. And real quick, before I even start, I do have a confession to make. I was using Generators first, but I had about a 50 to like barely, I was pulling 50% win ratio, and I wasn't getting good games with the 7th Tachyon because they were just resigning when I would get my Generator boss stage out. So unfortunately, I remember I said Generators would be a good archetype to use, but it's bad for replays. But I do like to use my Novellis. I love beating Masters with stupid stuff, by the way. This is Masters level gameplay, and I'm going against the new Blue Eyes deck. Look at this. This guy, of course, using his archetype to summon Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. I don't have anything right here, but I guess that's all it does. Usually I see a little bit more coming from them. And here we go. I have a nice Novellis restaurant here. Start off with a little feeler to see what he's going to do, and he's going to do nothing. He's going to use Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom and Joyous Bling's going to just, all it was going to do is just prevent me from getting, I really need to get a ritual spell, by the way, so turn that guy out, turn this. Here we go. Let's use 7th Tachyon. This is what I'm talking about. We reveal a card, and I revealed this card right here. It was a fairy level 4, so I'm able to add either a fairy or level 4. This guy could actually got both requirements, but it only needs to satisfy one of the requirements. Right here, now I can search for a card, and oh no, he's gonna use infinite impermanence. So 7th Tachyon was useless? Maybe, right? Maybe not, because here's what's interesting right there. 7th Tachyon ate the negate, right? Ooh, I like that. Ate the negate. A good rhyme there. And what's really interesting is people might be like, hey, Jesse, why aren't you using this Concours de Cuisine to get your Novellis out? Well, actually, I was being floodgated, by the way. This guy had a really interesting floodgate where neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time. And it just so happens this card special summons 1 card to my field and 1 card to his field. So I was actually getting floodgate locked to use this. So I probably would have been able to search my my ritual spell. But anyways, what 7th Tachyon did allow me to do is get this card out in the field. And even though it didn't allow me to search for the card, it did allow me to do this. And that's right, baby. It gets to jump scare you into a Superstar Slayer Typhon. And what's really good about Typhon is, by the way, I have a video above. I'll link it. Why Typhon is so good. Anyways, I'm gonna chain this. He's gonna run away, get some like super giant Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. This guy's got more heads than a Hydra, or maybe just about the same amount of heads as a Hydra. Anyways, it goes back into the deck list where it belongs, because I'm gonna send it back there. because Super Star Slayer is a G, and now we'll set Concours de Cuisine now. He's got to go into the end phase, and now, because I'm not under the floodgate, and I'm glad I did that in the end phase, because he's going to get some cards off of Maxi here, but now is where I can definitely special summon 2 monsters, one to my side, one to his side, and that's going to get me my Searcher that I really wanted here. That's going to get me my Ritual spell, and now it's going to be off to the races, and I have a Typhon, baby. Typhon, again, this was actually maybe a Typhon video the whole time in disguise. Again, I'll put up above in the link above why Typhon is so strong. And meanwhile, this smiley face, I do like that little guy. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. And what was cute is him giving me some free ladder points. Thank you. All right, now I get to go first here, and look at this. I got the nice whole 7th Ascension line. I got some good searchers. Let's use our searchers first. We don't need to do this. And oh, I'm getting shifted. He's trying to change the whole duel. Well, what's interesting is Shifter is now going to banish everything that I own to the graveyard. Everything that I've ever collected in my life is now going. I'm never going to see it again. Just like my socks that go in the dryer. Anyways, I'm going to use 7th Ascension now to search for 7th Tachyon. 7th Tachyon, of course. I'm going to reveal that card, get my nice little Manju here, where I don't need 2 of these cards, and now, unlike before, I'm going to search for a Ritual monster, when before I looked for the Ritual spell. We're going to use Rosette Poisson to special summon Barilla Base, and that's going to do 2 things. One, that's going to put, even though these cards are going to the graveyard, the Herald card will be able to activate because it was tributed. I am losing, though, unfortunately, the recursion effects of a lot of these cards, because they're going into the banish zone, not going into the graveyard, but whatever. What's one Ben 10 when I have another? And now I can search, excavate 5 cards from the top of my deck with Barilla Base. And look at that, two of those Novellis cards I really like at table. At table lets me draw the card I want that has a chef special recipe, a recipe card. And that's an Omni Negate, by the way, which I searched. And now why not just go into another Foya Glassa here? And I call them Novellis. You know what? I've been doing this wrong. I'm sorry. People get angry. It's just Novelle. It's pronounced Novelle, and I've got to. It's the Novelle archetype. I caught it. Anyways. We're going to do that. We're going to throw that guy back to the deck, because why not? Search for another card. I do think I make a mistake here. I do search for Diviner of the Herald, when, remember, I do have also in my deck a Sakitama. Remember, that was one of the cards that's also I could search for with Sakitama too, because I could put throughout, Sakitama could normally summon himself, and I could have went into an XZ's monster here with 2 4s, but instead I went with a Diviner of the Herald, maybe giving me some follow-up instead. But we'll see if that's a mistake, because he is going to super poly me, and I should have known that this was stun, and this could have been a possibility. Now he gets Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, putting me into a pickle, because now he turns off my chef special recipe, and oh no, he's going to use Time Tearing Morganite. By the way, I think Time Tearing Morganite is an awful card to use for stun. I'm also going to, I have a video all about why Time Tearing Morganite is awful for stun, because it pays for itself in like 7 turns, and we'll see if it pays for himself here. Maybe I'm going to eat my own words, but I would never run Time Tearing Morganite. I'll put that in above here. You could click that above too, why Time Tearing Morganite is bad. But here we go. Maybe this is good. Maybe not, because now I was gonna want to use Diviner of the Herald, and oh no. I'm in a conundrum. Now what do I do? I have a Maxi and this to my name, and that's all I could do. Let's try to use this to search for something. Dig in, baby. And I'm digging, and I didn't find anything. Now, I'm going to end my turn here. I did have a normal summon. I could have still probably used, sorry, I didn't have a normal summon. He gets to get 2 cards off of Time Tearing Morganite. So now what's interesting, when we consider the math, is he broke even right now with his Time Tearing Morganite. So really, this would he have had anyways if he didn't use Time Tearing Morganite. Anyways, we really need to find a card here. We're kind of struggling. Oh no, he's actually got me on the hook here. I have to because he's drawing 2. If he gets any normal card, I'm screwed. And now actually he got the advantage of Time Tearing Morganite. So in this case, Time Tearing Morganite did pay for itself, and I'm eating my own words. So I will admit where I'm wrong. And in this scenario, Time Tearing Morganite did pay for itself. He's going to use Maxi. Funny enough, if he did use Maxi to attack me, he would have been able to do something there. I don't know why he just normal summoned Maxi. I guess he knows I'm not going to be able to special summoning something, but I'm in what you call a pickle. I'm in a really bad situation. Everything I own is banished, and I've got nothing. I'm really living off the heart of the cards here, so please, heart of the cards, guide me. I really need something, and I get absolutely nothing, but luckily my field spell can turn this nothing into something, turning basically like Rumpelstiltskin, turning hay to gold here, and now this card basically is a another dimension shifter. Everything that I go is now going to be banished again, so that's absolutely awful. So that's going to hurt, but I do get to get this little cook here, and this little cook is going to be able to let me add a card here. I get to add my recipe. Remember, everything that I own is going to the graveyard, so there's going to be no recursion here. And that's what this needs. So now I'm living on a prayer here. Barilla Base, I need you to get me something, because everything's going into the graveyard here. Oh, it's not really, this is not looking good. I do now have just a negate, really, and that's it to my name. And I have a called by the grave, but that doesn't matter. Everything's going to the graveyard anyway. So now at this point, it's a bluff. He draws 2 more cards. I'm absolutely finished and cooked. Literally cooked. This is absolutely awful, but he doesn't read. He doesn't read. He leaves everything in attack mode, and just proving stunned players how bad they really are. They don't read. We're gonna take some lunch. We're gonna make sure he doesn't read, and he's gonna pay for that, because now I get to activate Barilla Base when my monsters are in attack position and he tries to attack me. I get to use them as an ingredient to level up, and so now that I'm using him as an ingredient, I get to add a card, and I get to use that as an ingredient, and now we're just making ingredients out of his monsters. And by the way, this card, what he gets to do, it's basically like Link climbing, but I'm ingredient climbing with the Novell card. This guy gets a tribute an attack position monster on. I'll just wait till the end of the turn here, do that to get my big Gordon Ramsay is here, baby. The Bay Grill, I call him my Gordon Ramsay. Look at that. I was able to just, and I have an Omni Negate here. I get these two equal more than 4,000. I'm going to use her just in case too, and he's got to resign. I can't believe that. A stunned player living up to his name in ranked masters. Payatar, thank you for not reading the cards. Oh, thank goodness. Yu-Gi-Oh players can't read. And whew, I got saved there by the bell. What do we got here? I'm going first. And these are ranked duels, by the way. I don't play around. These are actual ranked duels that I go in, and because I like to get real challenges, like Judge Judy, real cases, real people or whatever. Anyways, I'm actually using generators here. Generators is a great archetype here. Again, to improve the consistency, I'm going to use Seventh Tachyon with this deck. Take a look at this. I've got a nice little generator field here, and he's going into, looks like the King Sarcophagus line, the Horus Engine. I do have Maxi and Fu. I can never say that. Fu Walos. I'm going to go ahead and use Maxi, and oh, of course, this wouldn't be a good replay if I just win by Maxi, so I'm going to definitely get called by, of course, because I hate winning on Maxi anyways. I wouldn't show you a replay with that, but I will summon the generator Boss Storms here. That's actually Odin. If you really like that Norse archetype, that's what we got here. Anyways, I get negated, of course, and now he's going to sending Schwarzschild, but what's funny is this guy's actually using the Tachyon archetype itself, so I'm going to have to negate this because that's a deadly card. Nobody wants King Sarcophagus to go off, because otherwise he's going to do stuff. And now what's interesting is I'm going to switch that field spell out for another one, a little switcheroo, and what that does is that adds a card to his hand that turns on my Odin like a light switch. He's into that kind of stuff, and what that means is that you're going to have to discard a card, so get rid of that guy over there, and now I get to special summon this guy. That guy's important really quickly, because whenever he does basically summons anything, which I know he's going to do an XZ's monster, I can just get rid of an extra deck monster, and boom, bada bing, bada boom, he's gone. I'm just showing, I guess Seventh Tachyon didn't come up, but you know what, it's in the deck list, and well, it's just me beating masters with stupid stuff. Also, here we go. I did promise to show you where Waldo is. So if you stuck around, you get to stick to the bonus. He's on this map somewhere. He frustrated me for so long. I'm not gonna lie, I was looking for him for like 30 minutes trying to find him, but actually we don't need this pointer here. I'm just gonna to the little bounce. I thought this was Waldo at first, but it turns out that this was actually Waldo's girlfriend. I guess Waldo has a girlfriend. I didn't know that, but now I do. And then actually Waldo is actually right here. Look at this guy. That's super hard to see, but apparently there's like a whole Waldo lore or something. If you want, there's like a bunch of things that you could actually find here that's Waldo related. I didn't know Waldo had so much lore and stuff. I guess there's like an evil Waldo somewhere, like a wizard. There's a dog. They've got all this stuff. Some fans. There's 0 fans on this map, but like look at all this stuff that you could find. So anyways, I couldn't find all this stuff, but maybe Seventh Tachyon could. Probably Seventh Tachyon could. It could search anything. But anyways, I hope you like this video, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.